Welcome back to A to Z here on Locked On Sports Atlanta, free on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Search Locked On Sports Atlanta. Thanks for subscribing to our YouTube page. Well over 2,000 followers already here in just a few short months. It's been a huge bump for us. We certainly appreciate all the love and support from everybody making Locked On Sports Atlanta part of their everyday sports listen, whether it's this show, A to Z, Hitting Hard with John Chuckery, ATL Day Ones with Jarvis Davis and Tanisha Batiste, our Braves postcast with Grant McCauley after every single game, and of course, Locked On Falcons and Locked On Hawks with Aaron Freeman and Brad Rowland, respectively. I'm sure Brad Rowland Locked On Hawks is hoping, waiting for something to happen to give him some work to do, but still, as we turn the page of football season, Aaron Freeman is going to be very, very busy, so make sure you check on a routine basis. We have some news that is semi-political in the sports world coming up here. We'll do that next segment as well. Kirby Smart continuing champion. We'll do all that coming up before the end of this Thursday show. I'll be back in my normal confines tomorrow and back in Atlanta. So I appreciate you guys being patient with me this week with the video and the audio being a little bit sketchy at times, but thanks for hanging in there with me and being part of AZ every single day. All right. Speaking of every single day, Ronald Acuña didn't play every single day because he got the day off yesterday in the series finale against the Phillies. And the Braves have an off day today. They'll come back to Truist. They have 5 more games before the big 5-game series with the Mets in 4 days. I play a doubleheader, I think, on that Saturday. So I got 5 games in 4 days coming up with the Mets, who now have a 3-game lead over the Atlanta Braves after the Braves lost yesterday. And guess what? Didn't do any favors. The Yankees didn't do the Braves any favors by getting swept by the Mets. So I told everybody the Mets were going to start to have a tear. They were going to have a patch of this season where they started to play like they did play in the beginning of the year. And let's hope it's not now, but with the return of Jacob deGrom imminent, I feel like it could be the case. And I say this to get back to Ronald Acuña, by the way, who was benched yesterday by Brian Snitker for what he called a mental day off. Acuña over his last 17 games, folks, is batting a buck 86 with 1 home run and 21 strikeouts. Now, I've asked this question before because we all assume that Ronald Acuña is going to snap out of it. I'll ask it again without any opinion attached to it, but I just am curious what people think, and I'd love to hear from you guys. Give me a tweet at Mark Zinno. But how much longer can you keep Acuña at the top of the lineup? Like, for a guy who is batting close to 200 right now, you can't continue to put him at the top of the lineup. I'm not saying bench him. I'm not saying don't put him in the lineup, but I can't have a guy whose on base percentage is below 250 over the last month be at the top of the lineup. Because here's what's going to happen. And I started to look into this a little bit last night. And some of this goes back prior to the All Star break because 17 games goes back prior to the All Star break. But with the with the exception of playing the Nationals, right, and beating up on their bad pitching, you know, you look at the other games against somewhat moderate pitching, and the Braves' runs are starting to come down a little bit in those series. And that's what's going to start to alarm me. If Acuna is not performing well at the top of the lineup, are we going to sit here and continue to bang our heads against the wall and just hope he snaps out of it? In the meantime, you're still only scoring 3 or 4 runs a game, and your pitching is suffering for it, like what happened yesterday. And you can make the argument that what happened yesterday wasn't Matt Olson's fault. I'll play along if you want, but I don't want to play along too much. I mean, Charlie Morton did not have a great start. Yes, he was burned by an error in that 5th inning, but more manifestly, he did not pitch well, and he has not pitched well in quite a hot minute. Again, he had that 3 or 4 start stretch where, um, he had a 3 or 4 start stretch where he was really, really good. Uh, but that was about it. Other than that, it's been a very much a very erratic um, sort of Charlie Morton that we're seeing this year. And here's the thing: he he walks the opening guy, and the error was charged to him on the pickoff throw. Okay, so this is a self-induced one. So then a base hit scores the next guy, and the floodgates open. I mean, you can make any excuse you want. He did not pitch well in that fifth inning. Gave up 5 runs in an inning, and 4 of them were earned, even though it should have been a fifth run that was earned because he made the error. But nonetheless, uh, that said, this is where we are with Morton, and you have to question where he is in this rotation. And I'll keep having this argument with my good buddy Carl Dukes on 929 and everybody else. This is not a guy I want starting a playoff game right now. Just not. I don't trust him. I really, really don't. Um, and so they have to continue to look at ways and options to figure out how they're going to get through um, the latter part of this season and try to win the NL East. We talked earlier in the week about why winning the NL East is important. That first round bye is probably going to go to the Mets or the Braves, whoever wins the NL East. The other one is stuck playing a tough first round matchup, probably against San Diego Padres. So W's are important the rest of the way out. And a quirky little stat here: since June 25th, the Braves are 1-8 in series finales, and the one win was against the Nationals. For whatever reason, they can't win the final game of the series. It's getting really, really irritating. Uh, Trade news from last night that impacts the Braves, and I don't know if he was a prime target for them, but they were sort of attached to him in some size, way, shape, or form because they need help in left field. But Andrew Benintendi now off the market as he goes to the New York Yankees from the Kansas City Royals, and that's one less bat out there they're looking for. Now, again, Benintendi is a left-handed hitter, and I'm not sure that that's what exactly Anthopoulos is looking for because he has Eddie Rosario, who plays outfield and is a left-handed hitter. I'm sure he's looking for a right-handed bat. What he's really looking for is another Jorge Soler, which, oh, by the way, if he wasn't making $13 million a year, um, wouldn't that be a nice option to go try and get him back? But that's essentially what Alex Anthopoulos is looking for. Is he's looking for this year's Jorge Soler and where he's going to get it and how he's going to find it. Uh, Now you could argue again, you don't necessarily need another bat if one of two things happens. Um, Ronald Acuña gets right, and or the Braves continue to score runs at the same clip that they are. The only issue is that you got 5 days left to figure that out. I still think they need rather have another starter, and or at another bullpen arm definitively. I'd rather have one of those two over the bat. But again, I am starting to get a little bit weary of Ronald Acuña's performance, and there's a difference between a slump and where he is right now. He had that first couple of games back where he was awesome, or first couple of weeks back where he was awesome, took a couple of days off, and then it's been a straight downslide since the better part of June. And that to me is prolonged slumps are code words for he's having a bad year, which you don't want to say, but Acuña's having a bad year. So there's a lot to be decided by the end of this weekend and into next week on the second before they go take on the Mets again. 5 games before that 5 game series starts. And since Alex Anthopoulos operates in the shadows, we have no idea what he's going to do and when the move is going to come. But feel pretty confident that there is a trade coming up here shortly for the Atlanta Braves. Again, off night tonight, back against the soft Arizona Diamondbacks, where they get 3 against the D-backs, 2 against the Phillies, and that's not where you want to be 2-3 at the end of this thing. So let's make sure they get some wins here before they head into the Mets series. And oh, by the way, again, 3 games back, you don't want to be 4 heading into that series because if they take 4 or 5, that lead that you helped disintegrate is now back to a 6 or 7 game lead. And that's a bad place to be. All right. Coming up next, we'll hand out some shovels of wisdom as well. Will Kirby get what Kirby wants? That's next, right here on A to Z on Locked On Sports Atlanta, free on YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast, search Locked On Sports Atlanta.